What's happening, Deer Park history students? Mr. Moore here. On the Imperialism cheat sheet, I wanted to show everybody how to access a very good and very credible website. Now, I posted it assuming that you guys would be in the building. This website works perfectly well in the building, but when you're outside the building, you have to do a little kind of workaround. So I'm going to highlight what I'm doing here and talk about how to go about getting to this World Book Online website, right? So I posted it here, but it's always good to see somebody do it than just look at it. So if you look at this website, instead of going to World Book Online/advanced, go to InfoHio.org. So you click on this website, InfoHio.org. Right, this is a website that all high schools are allowed to use. If you ever go to the library, Miss Coates has this website all over the place because it's very helpful for students, and a lot of students don't really know about it. Right, so you click on it, and it's open for all high school students, pre-K till 12th grade. Obviously, you guys don't need any of that early stuff. Click on grades 9 through 12. All right, so I just clicked on grades 9 through 12. All right, these are all sites and things that you could use, assuming you do need to do any sort of research. I know a lot of people just like to do a Google search, but again, oftentimes on Google, it doesn't come up with accurate information because of how you type things in and what things Google focuses on. So anyways, this is a great website to use. So if you click down, scroll down, on the right side here, it says World Book Student and World Book Advanced. Right? You could click on the student one. It simplifies it a little bit, but for our purposes, I'm going to click on World Book Advanced. All right. Once you click on World Book Advanced, it should kind of look like a Google site, right? But instead of searching all of Google, it's going to search a World Book Encyclopedia. Now, World Book Encyclopedias are very credible sources. They're unbiased. They give you the information that you need to know. All right, so I'm going to type in India. Now, nobody is doing India for their project because we're going to talk about it directly in class. But I'm going to type in India, assuming that's my colony that I'm looking at. All right, and I will click right here. Now, some of you, if you're doing like Australia or New Zealand or maybe South Africa, it's divided up into the general information and history information. But in the case of India and a lot of the other places, it's all in one article. So I'm going to click on India. After I click on India, it's going to give me a very organized, concise idea of the country of India. Right? Now, where you find information, if you look on the cheat sheet, like I'll go back to the cheat sheet, you can see how to get information. So for this first part here, pre-colonial, native people. How do we find the native people? We'll look at the part that says people. So scroll down. Oh, people. All right, so there's ancestry. Indians people belong to many different ethnic groups. The two largest groups are the Dravidians and the Indo-Aryans. So on my my Google slides, I'm going to highlight these and post them on my Google slides. Right? And then it'll talk about parts of their culture. So I'll scroll down here, languages. All right, people in India speak over 1,000 languages and dialects. I might want to indicate that. Two major branches, the Indo-Aryan and the Dravidian. So there's my two language families. I could put that down on my piece of paper. Right? Scroll down. Ways of life. Right? You could talk about family ties. The number of nuclear families, that is households that consist of only parents and children, is increasing, especially in cities, where many families continue to live in traditional extended families. A typical Indian extended family has 3 generations living together in one household. Right? So that would be like kids, parents, and grandparents all living in the same one. Okay? Which isn't very rare for the rest of the world, but they tend to have larger extended families in India than we do in the United States. Most people live in villages. That might be something to write down. All right, city life. What else we got? Social structure you could talk about. Religion. All right, religion. That might be a good thing to put down. Religion plays a vital role for most lives of Indians. There's no official religion, but about 80% of the people are Hindus. 14% are Muslims. That might be a good thing to write down. Hindus believe in reincarnation. That is, that the body alone dies and the soul, which does not die, is reborn into another body. That might be a good thing to write down for indigenous culture. All right. So there you go. That's how I would answer the first part. Now, Westerners gaining control. Right? Go to the site, drop down to European arrival or the colonial area. So I'm going to scroll down, keep scrolling down to the part that talks about history. Not worried about the arts right now or painting, music. All right, not worried about the land right now, the geography of it, the climate, all important stuff, but not for our purposes. All right, you scroll down. All right. Now this one doesn't have a part on history, so I can go back. Oh, I thought it had a part on history, but it doesn't. So I'm going to go back to the World Book and type in Indian history or history of India. So I was wrong. I thought India had the history part on their same page, but it didn't. So I'm going to write history of India. Type in history of India. Find out what we got. Give it a second to load up. Oh, there you go. India, history of. Right? A lot of the places that are really big, like India or Australia or New Zealand, they've got a multiple pages because there's so much information. They don't want to cram it all into one part. So I clicked on history of India. All right, now I don't care too much about the ancient times, earliest times, BC era. That's not really important for our purposes. All right, just keep scrolling down. The coming of Europeans. Boom, right here. This would be a good part for me to focus on because that's what we're learning about. The imperial era is about how Europeans came there. So it says coming of Europeans. The first European explorers reached India. It was Vasco da Gama from Portugal in 1498. At the time, Portugal was challenging the Turkish Muslims and traders for the Italian city-states to control the European trade of Asian countries in silk, spices, and highly valued goods. The Portuguese gained control. All right, and then in 1600, Queen Elizabeth I of England granted a charter to formation of a company to open trade with India. All right, so for your assignment, imperial period, okay, our Westerners gaining control is what I meant to say, right? Why did they come to this land? Well, let's look. It says up here, looking to trade. They wanted to trade silk and spices, right? If you keep reading, talks about trading posts, right? These are all things that you could write down for why Europeans wanted to go there, right? The next part, if you go back to gaining control, how they gain control. Probably some sort of military action or some sort of agreement or treaty. Let's find out. So by the mid-1700s, little remained of the Mughal Empire. There was no effective central power. In these circumstances, Europeans in India prospered. The East India Company expanded its trade, increased its political power. It also began collecting taxes. Indian rulers refused to agree to the company's terms, but the company used force against them. Here you go. Battle. At the Battle of Plassey in 1757, the forces of Robert Clive, an agent for the East India Company, defeated the army. Most historians regard the British victory as the starting point of the British Empire. There you go. There's the answer right there. Right? So you'd write that down for how they gain control. Right? Imperial period, resistance, legacy. We'll keep reading down. Let's find out what else we can find on India. All right. Oh, Indian rebellion. So instead of going right to the type of control, we'll go to rebellion. That's one of the resistance, rebellions. So how did they resist? Did they fight a war? Tell me about one of the rebellions. So let's find out. During the years, resentments against British rule grew, especially in the north. Land taxes imposed by the British caused many difficulties for farmers. Large number of people went hungry. Right? Oh, so these might be some things you could write down for how they hurt the people. British land reforms took away land from many Indian people. In addition, many Indians resented what they regarded as a growing British interference in Indian customs and religion. There you go. Oh, so you could talk about how they hurt, and this is resentment. So what caused the uprising? Well, resentment against the British led to many small rebellions, and in 1857, a widespread uprising. In 1857 rebellion, some called towards the Sepoy Rebellion or the Sepoy Mutiny, began as an army base near Delhi. There, Indian soldiers called sepoys revolted after British officers instructed them to bite open rifle cartridges believed to have been greased with pig or with cow or hog fat. Both Hindus and Muslims objected to the order. The religious beliefs of the Hindu sepoys forbade them from eating beef, and Muslims sepoys could not eat pork. The Indian rebellion quickly spread. However, the rebels were poorly organized, had few weapons, and lacked good leadership. By 1859, they had been defeated. All right, so there you go. That's how you could write resistance. All right, keep rolling down. British India. In 1858, the British government decided to govern India directly. The direct rule was called the British Raj. So if you're going back to gaining control, or imperial period, that's right here, imperial period, what type of control? Well, they used direct control. It was a colony. They called it the Raj. You could write about right here what that meant. Right? So in other parts, they called it the British governed indirectly. So they had two types of rules. So this is a little bit more complicated. They controlled directly in some parts. In other parts, they controlled it indirectly through local rulers. What else can we say? British appointed. The Viceroy appointed 6 to 12 additional members who met together at Executive Council to form a legislative council. Few Indians could serve on the legislative council. Right. So it talks about how they're controlling it. Right. Right. So when we get to independence, somewhere in there, they'll talk about independence. Oh, there you go. Independence and partition. You could read through all this, but for my purposes, I'm going to scroll down here to summarize. At the conclusion of the war in 1945, this would be World War II they're talking about, Congress leaders were released and negotiations for independence were resumed. The British declared early in 1946 that they would grant India independence if Indian political leaders could agree among themselves on a form of government. The United Kingdom set up a special cabinet mission to India. The Congress and Muslim League could not settle the differences. To show its strength and to warn the British not to make a separate agreement, Congress, the Muslim League declared August 16, 1946 as Direct Action Day. On that day, Muslims held nationwide demonstrations, calls for the establishment of Pakistan. Bloody riots began between Muslims and Hindus. In 1947, India and British leaders agreed to a partition to divide the country in between India and Pakistan. They saw no other way to bring about the end of violence. So there you go. That's a great area of how they gained independence. How did Indians gain independence? Boom, easy thing. All right. If you were to scroll back up, looking for different sites to use, well, this shows you could use this as a picture. Okay, shows the British India controlling it. You might want to use that as the map. Right. I'm going to go back to World Book Advanced. Right, for the final part, and I'm just going to go back to General India. Right. So India, instead of their history, I'm going to look at their economics and culture again. So if you needed a map or a flag of India today, there's a flag of India today you could possibly use. I'm sure each one of the places that you're researching has a current flag that they use. So I'm going to scroll down to, again, the part on people. All right, so I scroll down to the part on people, and I'm going to look at language. All right, India's national language is Hindi, blah, blah, blah. However, here's a legacy of imperialism. English has a official status as associate national language. It is the common language among educated people across India, and much of the nation's official business is conducted in English. Why? Well, because it was an English colony for over 200 years, right? For almost 200 years, I wouldn't say over 200 years, about 200 years, it was an English colony, right? So that's a legacy of it, right? Ways of life, you can look at religion, right? I'm going to scroll down. Hinduism and Islam are the major religions. They got all those religions, right? For some of these places, it might say, hey, Christianity is a major religion there. Well, in some of these cases, a lot of missionaries converted people to Christianity, so that would be a major legacy of imperialism. All right, I'm going to scroll down to not the arts, literature, painting, music, and dance. Those are all great things to know about. All right, the land, again, don't care too much about that. Climate, don't care about that much right now. The economy. All right, so what are the things that they sell today? Right? Agriculture provides the main source of income for about half the population. Most of the farmers grow India's major grains, beans, lentils, and seeds. The major grains include corn, millet, rice. So you could say, hey, they grow crops still today, right? That might be something to write down. Right? Manufacturing, you can talk about how they make a lot of stuff today. Mining, coal, natural gas, petroleum, those are things that they have today. All right, so just briefly looking at what are the things that they sell today. Now, do they still sell stuff that they've always sold? Right? Do they still sell silk? Do they still sell tea, perhaps? Those might be some things to look into. My point is, summarizing this, there's a lot of good information to find on your projects. And the cheat sheet, as long as you go through the little workaround, okay, InfoHio, and go down the World Book website, you can find a ton of information. I know you guys like to Google search things and find it that easily, but I'm telling you, the World Book has a credible source, and the World Book is a site where you can find most of everything that you need. Right? Last thing is, let's say flags. Let's say you need the flag. I gave you a website. Click on this site, and you can see the different flags, historical flags of the British Empire. If you know your country is controlled by the British, your colony was once controlled by the British, well, you click on the British flags. If it was once controlled by the French, well, you click on the French flag. Right? So here you go. You got all these different flags. Since I was doing India, I'm going to scroll down. Oh, sorry, it'd probably be up here further, wouldn't it? British India. Oh, there you go. British India. Click on it. Hey, there's different flags. Now, does it matter which one you use? Just try to find that main area. That'd be the late 1800s, early 1900s. And this probably fits best to that time period. Right? Am I going to be 100% worried about if you have the correct British flag? If there's like 4 different flags, I don't know, pick one. But probably be the one that best fits would be that time period, right? Between the late 1800s and early 1900s. That's what I learned about. Right? If you're doing Hong Kong, there you can see different flags of Hong Kong. If you're doing British East Africa, there's a good British East Africa flag that you would use. Right? All these different places. British Cameroon, that's a flag. So the British essentially put their little flag on the flag of all their colonies. Right. Other than that, again, if you have any questions, let me know. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to my video.